had a commercial magic. And point of view is supported entrepreneurial effort, supported the private sector, privated the customer to choose between different technologies, not to be a captive client. These are the things that TCP/IP gave.
Very true. No, invaluable insights. Invaluable insights. Invaluable insights. So
you find it invaluable because nobody could lecture this to you earlier. When there is monopoly control, you don't go around talk free academic talks like this.
True.
We must be grateful to the extent that we have the freedom today. And that having done all this work with the government funds.
Very true.
We can come and be self-critical. Ultimately, it is for the money is not anybody's money. It is people's money.
Yeah.
And what is good for the people, we have to be able to talk about.
True. So, somewhere I think mid-90s, you switched over to the, you joined HP Labs. Was it in mid-90s?
I joined HP Labs in 2001.
Oh, I see. Okay. So what was your experience like? Why did you join HP Labs?
Partly I retired from NCST. Because, let's face it, NCST is something that we grew up in. Where we learned everything. Whatever we did went more for our learning than for anything else.
Okay.
At least we were thinking about our learning. And we enjoyed it. And therefore, the real reason why I left NCST was that I retired. But I also, with this political philosophy that I have been talking about, Unix, TCP/IP, open software, and a open network, all this philosophy made me believe that in a private lab, I would have greater freedom. Like for instance, the point is, I was not missing freedom in government. I had a lot more freedom in government because I was not answerable to the profits that to be made. There was no profit. It's not profit, but there was disappointment. We developed the satellite-based networking technology in the 78, 79 period.
Right.
Yeah, satellite-based network, experimental, using the Apple satellite, connecting Delhi, Ahmedabad, Bombay. And we demonstrated it at a big conference in Ahmedabad.
Okay.
On the launch of the space communications laboratory.
Okay.
And having done all that, Apple satellite went silent. Its design period was over, and our project ended, and we put everything back in the cupboard. Then I asked the question to a senior officer, what are we going to do now? We have developed technology which is almost up to date with leading countries in the world. And if it is anywhere else, I would have gone and opened up a company, started a company, and would have made money on that. But this being India, and with the kind of investable resources we had, I can't start a company. Who is going to carry this forward? The senior officer smiled and he was in a playful mood. He said, Ramani, see that bag on your shoulder? He says, how many bags have you collected in conferences like this? 50? Well, you got 50 bags. This is what you get out of the technology. The value of the technology, there was nobody to appreciate. Because Space Department would be involved in research, but telecommunications would be in the hands of an operating organization. Operating organizations are not very excited in research. They have some research wing, but not committed to research like Space Department. And both of them have to work together in order for new technology to be adopted. And usually, regulatory agencies find it convenient to buy it from abroad.
Yeah.
Because 50,000 of those have been sold. There is no doubt or worry about its working. Whereas if 3 labs in India sit down and develop a technology, you want us to go and risk people's telecommunications on that? So this is the frustration that hurts most. What you develop is not often followed up, is not used for the confidence in your technology that P.P. Gupta showed to go and implement it and to try and make money using Indian technology. Like for instance, imagine, it is P.P. Gupta who, it is said, he told me personally, he had made a presentation about various things that we had developed, that the CMC had developed with some support from us. And he was always eager to go and give a presentation, this presentation about what CMC can do to some minister. And on one occasion, he got a chance to sit at dinner next to Kumaramangalam.
Okay.
And he told him, sir, we have a lot of technology we have developed. We would like, he was, I think Kumaramangalam was railway minister.
Okay.
He said, we have one technology for railways to sell railway tickets so that the queues will go. In Delhi railway station, we have 250 windows selling tickets, and it takes 3 hours to buy a ticket. In Bombay, it takes 3 hours to buy a ticket. But the same 3 hours it takes to go to Pune. So I spent 3 hours at the window and 3 hours on the train. Why don't you give us a chance to give you a presentation? He said, fine. Just send me a note. We will have a We went and gave a presentation. We can build a railway reservation system, etc., etc. How much will it cost? Was the question. And PPG gave him a number. And it seems Kumaramangalam said, no, I'm sorry, it's not Kumaramangalam. You know who it was? It was...
It must be the railway secretary railways or...
not secretary railway, he's minister railways.
Minister railways. Then
and
this was in 19, when was
Rajasthan
this?
Minister. Rajasthan minister.
Okay, Rajasthan minister. Was it...
whose son is now in the Bihar.
Yeah. So, was it Pilot? Sachin Pilot's father? No.
No. This was...
not Satish Pilot, right? Not Satish Pilot.
No. This man is Rajasthani.
Okay.
But has connections with Madhya Pradesh, and his son was a big figure in Madhya Pradesh till Kamal Nath.
I got it. Scindia. Mother or
Scindia.
Cynthia? Yeah.
It was Scindia who was the minister. It seems Scindia said, you send us a proposal, we will implement it in Northern Railway first. And if it works, we will implement it everywhere.
Okay.
And very casually. And PPG says, I had a back of the envelope calculation. How much it costs. I just told him. And he ordered it. And we took 10 days to prepare the proposal and gave it to him. And you know what he did? He went to the parliament and said, we are going to build a railway reservation system. It will be operational in 10 months.
Okay.
And we all lost sleep. How the hell were we going to build it in 10 months? But this is how. This is the kind of risk taking he took.
Yeah.
And they built it in 10 months.
Oh.
They delivered it. They delivered it. And so I think that is the kind of entrepreneurial work that I have seen in the public sector.
Yeah, yeah.
But if that more often is seen in the private sector.
True.
So I wanted that. But amazing thing was HP had the chairman of HP at that time, Carly, had a commitment to developmental issues. She was very concerned about the computing for the poor. And so the lab was fun.
Okay.
And also the lab had very good colleagues. So that is the story.
So if you were to set up a lab now, what kind of a lab would you set up and what problems would you solve?
One is combining education and research is always a great thing. So the lab should ideally have a strong connection with the university.
Okay.
Because the best research worker is very often a graduate student. Because when the credit goes for an invention, it is not just the salary that you gave the graduate student. You gave him a pittance of a salary. But you give him the whole credit. It is his thesis. It is his invention. You give him the importance and you make him your equal. So the incentives in university research are very strong. One. Two, India has been rather poor in good quality universities. So when you work with a good quality university, the kind of people that kill themselves to get your admission there is fantastic.
Yeah.
You get the best people. In the industry, they will have to give 3 lakhs of rupees salary. Whereas in the university, will give him 25,000 rupees. He comes there.
Correct.
And in the university, you treat him as your equal. If you are in an American university, he will call you John. He won't call you doctor, professor, so and so. Informality, equality, freedom, the right for a student to say, I don't think that is right. This other thing works better. So, university, in a sense, after all, a lot of development in around Unix, a lot of development around ARPANET and all that occurred at universities. So I would love to have either work in a university lab itself, or better still, a lab which has the ability to take an innovation to the market. Either by itself, they may not sell it directly, but they have a tie-up with a public sector company or with a private sector company, or a private sector company runs a research lab with a lot of freedom, saying you know what is good research, you do it. And if it is possible to make money on it, I am there to make money on it. When a private company says that, you know at least you will see the light of day.
Yeah.
You don't have to develop and throw the research out in the trash.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that is the kind of lab I would think of.
And what kind of problems fascinate you now?
That is a very important question too. As I was saying, when I was telling you about the technologies that I was interested as a graduate student and the kind of thinking that went into my mind, I forgot to mention one. Atomic energy was one.
Okay.
Because my original training was in physics. I came to engineering after a degree in physics. So physics is close to my heart. And at that time, I had read a fair amount on my own about nuclear technology. And therefore, one of my 3 areas for work was electronics and computers, space technology, and atomic energy. But you see how things change in the world. Things change. Today I notice that I am sort of less at guard. I am talking things which are very critical of what has happened. And I am now getting into a fight with the atomic energy. Let me say how atomic energy changed. Atomic energy has changed in a very peculiar way. Today, suppose you have to go and persuade a state government to take a nuclear power plant. How happy would you be?
Persuade. I personally believe in atomic energy. So I personally believe in atomic energy. So I would be happy. But I don't know. I don't know if the government would be welcome, because it has become completely, politically an untouchable, kind of a topic.
What has happened is this. If you want a nuclear plant, you will go and ask for some land.
Right.
And how much land? The regulatory principle says some 3 kilometer diameter or 3 kilometer radius or one of those. If I were to technically talk about it, I'll check it up. But a fairly large diameter area has to be set apart for safety. You put the nuclear plant in the middle of it, and all around it for 3 miles or 3 kilometers. There cannot be anybody living. There cannot be any shops. There cannot be any business. And what is the value of 3 kilometers diameter land?
Oh, it's huge.
What is the value? And how risky, how dangerous it is? And you would want insurance. How much would the insurance cost? Today, Americans are very eager to sell you nuclear power plants. But you tell them, you have to take the insurance. They say, no, thank you. They go away. Insurance, the government should take. So these two problems of lot of land requirement and lot of risk have made atomic energy, at least the utilitarian part of atomic energy, very, very unattractive. The alternative technology of solar power, if you give me the same 3 kilometer diameter area, we will get solar power out of that at probably 1/10 of the price. At no risk. So today, what technology I would have done?
Obviously solar.
I will not vote upon today.
Yeah.
Which means, to answer your question, What research will you do? That depends. There is a revolution every 10 years, sometimes even faster. I will go with the revolution. Should I bet on electric cars? Should I bet on automatically piloted vehicles, automatically driven vehicles, or should I spend money on artificial intelligence? Should I spend money on computers and agriculture? You know, I have some answers to them, not to all of them. But the point is, I would be modest and say what I think is right today may not be right tomorrow.
Okay.
So I would like to buy myself the freedom to decide on what I'm going to do research on over a period of time.
Okay.
Whatever is promising at that time, we'll pick it up. And I will hope that I have the guts to be multidisciplinary.
Yeah.
That tomorrow, if the best research I can do is in healthcare, so be it. I may not know much healthcare, but I will, hopefully be able to learn. Every researcher is capable of learning a bit. Yeah. So hopefully I will do that. So from that point of view, I say don't be very decisive about what you are going to do research on.
Okay.
Give yourself some freedom. Obviously, you can't go and do research on something that in which you have no knowledge. You have to go where some of your background is. But if you always stay with your background, you don't have to do research. It's a waste of time.
Yeah.
you have to move out of your background. So I would I would expect that I will have freedom to do multidisciplinary research. To be tied to one thing is not good enough. I will not divide between fundamental research and utilitarian research, applied research, because sometimes, if suppose the doctors had said, we do not want all this MRI and all that, we will stay with our good old technology and run medicine, where will they be today? Imagine what CT scan and MRI did for medicine.
True.
And if in a medical lab, they did not allow medical imaging research, what a waste it would have been.
True.
So it is that freedom to move from one to the other that gives you the benefits.
Wonderful, Dr. Ramani. I hope I am not tired you out. Pretty 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours now.
I don't mind. I enjoyed talking, and I also I enjoyed the freedom. I have always said one thing. One of my problems is, as